Bump, 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 bump. Bring. Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I am Marcus Grant, joined by Greg Bergman. Parker Bell has he got an ESPYs hangover? Is that what's happening right now?
I don't know what's going on with him. He just doesn't really find that the Blue Review is important anymore. And none of his lasers are coming out here or anything.
I know we haven't had lasers in a while. It's sort of disappointing, but
I think the Blue Review should be the top priority of your morning. If you're going to be on this, it should be your top priority.
You know,
I don't think I'm wrong.
Forget the other job that he actually has here, which is making sure social content gets out and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, not important.
Not important. Be here. No. Anyway, welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. One last day of the All-Star break. The Dodgers get back into action tomorrow. So, figure we probably just take a preview of the quote-unquote second half, even though they've already played more than 81 games. So, it's not really a second half, but it sort of is. Whatever. You know what we're talking about.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. Before we get into that, though, I want to give a shout-out, of course, to the folks at LAX. Los Angeles International Airport is transforming the travel experience. They're saving guests time, just trying to make everything a little bit easier for everybody. Looking forward to the People Mover train, hopefully up and running early next year. If you want more information, you can go on the interwebs at flylax.com/transforminglax. All right, so we talked about kind of the first half of the season. We talked about the All-Star game, the All-Star break. We actually had Bruce Kuntz on yesterday to kind of give us a prospect update now that the draft is in the rearview mirror. So here we go. The final few months of the regular season as we get ready for the playoffs. The Dodgers, of course, come into this sitting in first place in the National League West, second best record in all of baseball, just a game behind the Detroit Tigers, 5.5 up on the San Diego Padres, 6 up on the San Francisco Giants. 30,000 foot view. I mean, the things I guess you want to see in the second half, where you want to see improvement, things that should keep going, just kind of your big overview of what you expect for the next, 80, 70 something games, whatever it is.
I really do expect this to happen too. I expect all the guys that have not been hitting to really start kind of picking it up and starting to hit. And talking about the Mookies and the Freddies and the Teos and Edman and those guys that have not been hitting the ball very well.
You didn't mention Michael Conforto.
Well, because I don't expect Conforto to be here the past 2 weeks. I mean, if Michael, I will be severely shocked if Michael Conforto is still on this team as of August 1st. And if he is, I don't expect him to be playing every day and will just be a utility outfielder. I can't really see anything else for him at this point. I know he's starting to kind of pick it up, but I just can't imagine that they're going to stick with it after this long. But, could be wrong. I'm not going to mention Conforto really much ever again because my villain has stayed all the way up there for the entire season, and that's a problem, right? That's a problem. The idea behind the villain, again, is that it's supposed to help you get better. That he said, like, this is what you're on your way up. You make it all better, and then we all just say, okay, good for you. You're good now. We move on to a different villain. Conforto stayed there since before the season even started. I think the bats are going to start to pick up a little bit more, especially against an easier schedule. Maybe not this weekend because the Brewers are really good, but it's the relief core that I'm really looking forward to seeing. That needs to get better. You cannot continue to have blown saves from Tanner Scott. Kirby Yates has to figure his issues out. And unfortunately, despite the fact that they went and spent so much money just on relief pitching, which is always a bad idea to be quote deadline proof, they're going out and getting relief pitching because the relief is terrible. Well, not terrible, but is not good right now.
Yeah.
So those are the two biggest things that I want to see really fix themselves in the second half.
The thing that I'm most looking forward to, one, yes, the offense picking up. I hope just having a few days off for some of these guys is enough to kind of get the gears turning again, right? That we see Mookie Betts look more like the Mookie we've seen the last couple of years. That Freddie Freeman can sort of pick it up because he was slumping pretty badly heading into the All-Star break. Hopefully Teoscar Hernandez is able to get healthy and give them some more offense at the plate. But the other big thing I'm looking forward to is just sort of watching this starting rotation come into focus the way we thought it would be. We saw Tyler Glasnow just before the All-Star break, looked excellent in his first start back. Blake Snell is reportedly on the way, could be back very, very soon. Roki Sasaki is starting to work again. So it's starting to look like the rotation we were hoping for at the beginning of the season, where you've got, Glasnow and Snell sort of at the top, right? Or actually, you probably have like Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Snell at the top there. And then you figure out the rest of it, whether it's, it's Kershaw, it's Sheehan, whether May stays in the rotation, if he's in the bullpen, if he gets traded, whatever it's going to be. But just having that, at least that frontline five, be the guys that you hope they could be. And on top of it, though, Greg, not just having them in the rotation, but having them give you some length. Because, with your wishes, I think we all have the same wish of the bullpen getting stronger and better as the season goes along. Some of that comes with them just not working nearly as much as they have been, right? Like if you're going into every game feeling like you've got to cover, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 innings with this bullpen, you're asking for trouble. So if you can get length out of your starters where you're consistently having everybody go 6, some guys going 7, and heaven forbid, maybe a guy even goes 8 innings once in a while.
Oh my God.
I know. I feel like that's illegal the way the Dodgers have operated the last couple of years. But if you can get those starters, deep into games, you're taking a lot of pressure off that bullpen. And I think it just makes everything flow easy. I mean, look, it's ideally less pressure on the offense too, right? I mean, this group can score. We know that, but it's different knowing you can go out and score 5 or 6 runs versus feeling like you have to go out and score 5 or 6 runs to win.
No, absolutely. And I think those are all great points because if you're starting a rotation, all of a sudden starts pitching like it's supposed to, Glasnow has the ability to go 7. Snell, when he comes back, can easily go 7, although he has in the history of not going past 5. But Yamamoto can go 7, and obviously Shohei is not going to do that. But you actually get okay with that because if he goes 3 or even 4 at some point, and Sheehan's going 5 or 6, like you're actually saving your bullpen there too. So you have a lot of guys. If the amount of work that's being put on Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates and all these guys, if you can take that and really bring it down, especially again with this easy schedule in the second half, that will be super conducive to what goes on in the postseason. Use them way too much in the beginning of the season because they had to. And now if they get some rest, especially coming off the All-Star break, that is going to be great for this relief corps. So hopefully, I think that's what you're looking for here. Now you're at a point where Yamamoto is pitching well and getting to the end and being able to go longer and going deep into games would change everything for this team.
Absolutely, it would. And I think on top of it, too, the name that we didn't mention, Blake Trinan, also sort of working his way back. And, I think even with Trinan healthy, the 9th inning more often than that probably still goes to Tanner Scott. But it is one more guy that, if Scott has worked on back-to-back days, you can throw potentially Trinan in the 9th. You can have him take some of those high leverage innings. If you want to play matchups, for instance, you can use Trinan in that situation as well. I know that originally the thought was Brusdar Graterol was going to come back sometime in the second half of the season. I haven't seen or heard any real updates on that. I don't know if you've caught anything about Brusdar, but I haven't. It seems kind of all quiet on that front right now.
Yeah, it is all quiet. I just don't expect ever Brusdar to come back, and even if he does come back, I don't expect him to pitch long. I love the guy, and he's an interesting pitcher just in general. He throws 100 miles an hour, and he can't get swing and mitts, and he gets soft contact. He doesn't strike guys out. It's a very strange pitching style that he has, but no, I just don't expect him back at any point. If he comes back, that'd be awesome because I think he's very useful, especially in the postseason, but I don't expect him.
I mean, look, remember last year, right? We waited all this time for him to come back. He comes out and pitches and immediately gets hurt again. And we're like all terrified and panicked. And was it like he just like rolled an ankle or something like that? Like,
it was like 8 pitches too. It wasn't some like massive number. It was like some small amount of pitches.
Yeah.
He did come back, but he just wasn't, you didn't use him as much as we would have liked.
Yeah, it just wasn't quite the same. All right, so that's on the sort of the pitching side of things. Offensively, I know we talked about guys sort of getting right, getting hot at the right time. But I think it is worth talking about, and we sort of hinted at it with Bruce yesterday, but the trade deadline is coming. We're about 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. And obviously Michael Conforto is the name that keeps sort of popping up here. James Outman is another name that keeps popping up. Is it still, I guess, what is the bigger need for this team right now? Is it arms or is it getting outfield help?
I really do think it's going to be the arms. For everything we were just talking about, I think bullpen help is always, always, always important to have. You can never have too much bullpen. And this is why every single year, and we talk about it at the beginning of the year, your bullpen at the beginning of the season is not your bullpen at the end of the season, because that's just how volatile bullpens are. No matter how much money you spend on bullpen, you're going to go get more at the deadline because they're not going to be pitching like you want them to. It's every single year without fail. So I do think it's outfield. I think you need somebody in left field. I know you have outfielders that you can use if Conforto is not gone, but you need a true center fielder. I really do believe that. I think Pages has an amazing arm and can play the position, but if you have a true center fielder there, I think that really makes a big difference to this team. And that's what I think they're going to be looking for, because then if you put a true center fielder out there and then you have Pages in right with that massive arm, and you move Teo into left so that Teo can be hidden a little bit in left field and take a little bit of stress off of him, then maybe that helps him at the plate at the same time, then you have a real outfield. With Conforto out there, you can't have two corner outfielders that are subpar defensively. It's just not going to work. So I love Tommy Edman, but I think we need him in the infield right now, going in between with Kim, because Kim is not going to play every day. We've seen it. It's not going to happen. So there's just, I think a true center fielder is what is needed most.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like, who would possibly be available. One of the things that sort of has become hard the last few years when it comes to the trade deadline is because of the expanded playoffs, because so many teams have a shot at things. Fewer teams are willing to be sellers at the deadline right now. I'm looking at the National League, right? And you've got a ton of teams within, a reasonable distance of a wild card spot, right? The Braves are 9.5 out. Improbable. Yeah. Not impossible. Certainly. They got to jump over a lot of teams, but basically you're looking at, in the National League, for instance, teams that are pretty much out of it: the Rockies, the Pirates, the Nationals. I mean, that's 3 teams right there. On the other side, in the American League, you're looking at the A's, the White Sox, even the
Guardians.
The Guardians are sort of out of things right now. I mean, the Orioles are just sort of on the cusp at the moment, just kind of barely hanging in there. So there's not a lot of teams that are looking to sell, which is sort of a problem for the Dodgers.
Yeah, it is. And it really just depends. I mean, guys, they're not going to trade with the Diamondbacks as much as we would love them to trade with the Diamondbacks. But there's teams that they have to start thinking to themselves. I understand that you can get into a playoff spot a little bit more easily, but what are you going to do in the playoffs? Do you actually believe that your team has enough to get into the postseason and do some damage? And a lot of these teams probably not. I think the Diamondbacks, if they may feel that if they can get in, that they can do a little bit of damage, because they had two all-stars. They were doing pretty well, but it's just they can't put it all together. So they need to go on a run. But the other teams are going to drop too. There's going to be teams that are going to drop out of this race at the same time. And I really think it's looking at the AL Central. That's kind of Detroit Tigers, and that's about it. Yeah. So the Twins, Royals, Guardians, Sox, all those teams could look to say, okay, is it time for a reset? And maybe there's something in there.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a name that had sort of been whispered before the All-Star break was Byron Buxton. He just said, I think yesterday or day before, he has no plans to waive his no trade clause. He says he wants to be a Minnesota Twin for life. So that would seem to sort of take him out of play. I mean, I'm just looking at other potential outfielders that could be available. You mentioned there, the Diamondbacks not likely to trade with the Dodgers at any point.
Nah.
I mean, would the Angels part with Taylor Ward, which is a name that we seem to mention like every year?
Will they trade with the Dodgers, though? I don't think Artie is going to do anything that could potentially help the Dodgers in any sense. I mean, even if it helps.
He already let Shohei come up here, whether he wanted to or not. So.
But they had a whole deal in place. Remember that Andy Paz was supposed to go there, and Ross Stripling, I think Jock Peterson, too, were all supposed to go down there. And it was, for, I forget who it was. It's for I think in Iglesias, maybe. I don't remember who it was. But they were going to make this move, and it took too long. So like, no, we're out. We're not going to do it. He doesn't want to trade with the Dodgers for whatever reason, because he just understands that he's not actually from Los Angeles. But I think the team that you should look at, I mean, the Cardinals, they're just winning games. They're winning too many games right now. So if they start to fall off, the Cardinals in this next week or two, because they're 5 games above 500, but if they might start thinking about Ryan Helsley, their closer, who is legit, but they seem to be kind of too high up right now. It's all the same kind of interest. So if you look at the Cardinals, though, they're right on the cusp. They're actually out of a playoff spot right now. If they start to falter, even though they're above 500, they could blow things up. I know that Nolan Arenado wants Snell, but we don't want Nolan. We don't want Arenado. But there's guys there, and they don't typically like to trade either. But like, so teams that are, even though if they're above 500 and they're technically in it, it's all going to come down to these next 2 weeks and whether or not they're going to be sellers or not.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the big thing. The Cardinals, you mentioned, just sort of hanging around. They're a game and a half out of that second wild card spot. So, I mean, mathematically, it's certainly very possible, but it also feels like the Cardinals have kind of played over their heads a little bit for a good chunk of the season, and whether or not that continues sort of remains to be seen, especially in a division where, you know, the Cubs are really good. The Brewers, another very good team. It just seems hard to believe that the Cardinals are going to keep pace with those two teams there. I try to think where else we go. I mean, look, waiting on Max Muncy to come back. You mentioned, you know, we expect to see Tommy Edman in the infield. Does this mean we see more Edman at third base, more Ha-Seong Kim? Do we see Miggy Rogue, who's actually was maybe giving him the best at bats of anybody during that losing streak they had a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, no, you're going to see all of them, and I think especially with Kike out, you're going to see more Kim. And this is the time for Kim. If he's going to stick on this team all the way through into the playoffs and be a big part of the bench, he has to. I imagine he would be on the postseason roster just for his speed alone, but he may not get a lot and his defensive abilities, so to be a defensive replacement. But he can show right now, can I be an everyday player? He has to prove it to Dave Roberts. We've seen that he has the ability to get on base. He has the speed. He hasn't been able to hit velocity. He hasn't been able to hit lefties, or they just haven't given him a lot of opportunities against lefties. If he's going to play every day with Muncy and Kike out, we're going to see a lot of Kim, especially with Edman over at third, or if it happens to be Rojas that's in at third, because Rojas, he has been playing well. It's so weird how it all figured out. Like, he figured it out by hitting against a position player. Right. Like, that's not what you expect.
Looking at the chat, Thomas Visick throws out an interesting name as a trade target. What about Lars Nootbaar? If we're talking about the Cardinals,
sure,
bring him home. El Segundo kid went to USC. Yeah. Why not bring him back home to Los Angeles?
If you can make a Nootbaar and Helsley trade, I don't think that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Cardinals would do that again after, you know, they gifted us Tommy Edman last year and how that worked out. But
I mean, like, you know, you got to move forward. You can't think about the past. It's all about the future.
It's all about the future.
I'm not here to talk about the past. Thank you, Mark McGuire.
Wow, that is a blast from the past for sure.
That was a pull, right? That was
a really, really good pull for sure. All right, so let's look at the weekend coming up. 3 games against the Brewers in Los Angeles. No pitching probables listed as of yet. Yeah. I would think that sometime later today, if not tomorrow morning at the latest, we'll see some of those pitching probables. Yama potentially on Friday after,
I would assume,
because he last pitched on Sunday in San Francisco. So I think he'd be ready for Friday potentially.
So I would think Friday, and then Shohei Sheehan on Saturday to keep Shohei on that Saturday track. And then Glasnow on Sunday would be my guess, unless they flip Glasnow and Yamamoto, because Yamamoto pitch on Sunday. So maybe get him back to going on Sunday.
Yeah.
So Glasnow Friday, Shohei Sheehan Saturday, and then Glasnow Sunday. Those are my best guesses.
I do love that the Dodgers seem to have it's like a college baseball rotation, right? Like Shohei's your Saturday guy and Yama's your Sunday guy. Like that's
right.
It's like a college baseball, 3-man
man,
sort of thing.
If it works, it works. I mean, that's when Yamamoto was pitching his best, when he was just going, once a week, and it was always on the same day. He was getting 6 days of rest, and that seemed to work really well for him.
Yeah, it really did. So, look, I know they're trying to keep those guys at least for Yamamoto and Sasaki when he's back on that 6 day of rest, or that 1 day a week, I guess, schedule, essentially. Then throw in the fact that you've got Shohei sort of working 1 day a week right now. It does kind of line up that way to sort of have that happening. Blake Snell, I don't know if we have an actual date yet of when he's going to be back, but he is getting close for sure.
He's getting close, and that's which is exciting. I think we saw this last year with Blake Snell. We've seen it in the past, just that he has issues in the beginning of the season, and he takes his time, and he comes back, and he just shoves the rest of the way through. And he's an incredible pitcher all the way through to the point last year he threw a no-hitter in the second half of the season last year. So getting him back, despite the fact that he hasn't really pitched for the Dodgers this year, he would be a massive upgrade. But the last I saw that it's just okay. So he threw 3 frames of 1-run ball with 7 Ks in his second rehab start.
Okay.
So three innings, 7 Ks, 1 run.
It's pretty good.
I think that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I think he's about to be ready to come back. So, and that means that Blake Treinen, like you said before, is getting pretty close to.
All right. So with everybody healthy, Snell back, Glasnow back, Shohei ramping up. What is your ideal rotation for this team?
In order, are we assuming that Shohei is fully ramped up?
Yeah, and I say
to 5-6 innings.
I think fully ramped up for Shohei is like 5 innings, at least for this year.
5.
Yeah.
Right. Next year he's going to be full. I don't think they'd want him to do anything more than 5-6 innings this year.
Yeah.
So because of that, I would probably have it. I kind of want Shohei all the way at the top, but we'll go Yamamoto, Snell, Shohei, Glasnow.
Ooh, you're putting Glasnow in the 4 spot, huh?
Yeah, I just can't. I mean, Yamamoto's Shohei's a better pitcher. Snell's a better pitcher. Yama is your ace, your number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine. It's really going to come down to who's pitching best, right?
Yeah.
Down the stretch. But Yamamoto's probably your number 1 starter at home in a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume it is then Snell, because he'll be fully ramped up and has the least amount of mileage on him. And then same with Shohei, and then I can't imagine Glasnow popping up in front of somebody, but maybe. What is your 4?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely Yama at the top. Probably. See, I'm debating whether or not I want Glasnow or Snell in that number 2 spot, and I think I want Snell there just so I can get the left-hander kind of early in the rotation. Follow that up with. Man, I guess I am putting Glasnow 4th.
Right. If you start thinking through it, and it's like,
So then I would go Shohei and then Glasnow, and then I guess Kershaw probably rounds it out as the number 5 guy.
Yeah, you usually don't use 5 guys in a playoff series.
Playoffs
anyway.
You're not going to, but I know Jeff Spiegel continues to believe that Kershaw is going to get quality postseason innings this year.
I just don't. Think about it, though. With what you just said, you have the 4 guys, and knowing full well that you usually don't use 5 starters. It just doesn't – there's enough time off in between, and you want your best starters out there. It just looks like if everything went right and all of these guys are healthy and are fully ramped up to where they need to be, Kershaw just doesn't fit in there.
Would you consider using Kershaw?
Who are you putting over?
Would you use him as a bulk guy behind Shohei?
No.
Okay.
No. No, we've seen it. We've seen it too many times. I don't need to see Kershaw out of the bullpen anymore. I like, especially if Sheehan is continuing to pitch the way he's pitching behind Shohei.
Yeah,
and even in that sense, Sheehan's not even going to. If he's going 5-6 innings, you don't even need the bulk afterwards.
Right.
So, I think your bulk. I think your bulk guys are going to be Sheehan and Wrobleski and maybe May. I think that's maybe a better spot, but I don't even know if that's going to be depending on what happens at the deadline.
And like I said yesterday, or a couple days ago, the thing about May that worries me is just, he's so erratic, and especially in his first inning of work, he's so erratic, and that's not what you want. It's not what you want out of the bullpen. It's definitely not what you want out of a bulk guy. So that would worry me about May in that bulk role right there. So, all right. We will get it going tomorrow. The Dodgers finally back in action. Of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow, which we'll preview something. I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow. We'll have to figure that out.
You have Jeff Spiegel. I will not be here tomorrow.
All right.
Dentist appointment, but you have Jeff Spiegel.
That's cool. We can rehash a lot of the stuff with Jeff because we had not talked to him about that too. So we can get his thoughts on the first half, the second half, and pretty much everything in between. But that'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. Thanks to the folks in the chat for hanging out. Thanks to LAX. Stick around. First pitch coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel with Bergman, Travis, and DeMarco. Stick with us pretty much all day long as well. Got plenty of stuff to chat about. But that'll do it for us. We will see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 to 8:55 on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, everybody else. We'll see it.
See ya.